Hello, welcome back everybody. Hope you're doing fantastic today. So I have an update to the Molten Titan build. I'll be honest, few days ago when a week ago, certainly when I started this build, I thought that, this is going to be nothing special. Um, Everyone is probably going to do full physical, so I decided to do something else and do full fire conversion with different skills that nobody plays. Turns out this could be one of the strongest warrior builds, if not the strongest in the game. But I'm going to leave it up to you to decide. Talk is cheap, boys. Let's get right into it. I have a pretty easy map here just to showcase. It's a tier 16 though, and it has additional monster life. To be exact, as monster life as extra maximum energy shield. So let's do this map, and this map also increases the tier of the map by 1, so this is technically tier 17 map. So with a breach is something I've been farming to great success, and let's jump into it and let's see what the build is capable of. We also have a Delirium. Delirium is probably a very good way to generate some currency. I don't know if Delirium is a good way for my CPU to live for longer, but okay, I'm gonna let you live, bro. So yeah, as you can see, the area compared to the last video, the area on the area of effect on my main clearing ability, the Molten Blast, is much bigger than before. Monsters here have this map is nothing too special. Only 32% maximum life as extra maximum energy shield for the monsters, and that's pretty much it. So it's nothing too crazy here, but I wanted to showcase a map without additional damage modifiers, so that I can, not focus on the gameplay too much and just, focus on talking. That was just like a bunch of explosions that I just face tank, no problem. Honestly, with this build, I haven't died in like past 15 hours of gameplay or something like this. I haven't died, I think, since level 88. Now I'm almost level 93, so that's quite some time without dying. And I've been doing some hard maps, some very difficult content, like for example max with penetration and minus max resistances and stuff like that. So I'm gonna get rid of this Delirium. I don't know if my PC is going to be able to handle that. Would be fine most likely, but I would prefer some visibility right now. As you can see, I'm pretty much walking into monsters. I don't really care what's coming at me. The amount of HP that we have compared to the video from a few days ago, I think almost doubled. I think I had 3,000 something HP back then. The clear is, we don't have like, explodey chests from PoE1 or something like that, so the clear is not like insane, but it's definitely enough to clear majority of breach, if not all of it in some maps, right? If you have maps with like open layouts, then it's definitely harder to clear everything. When you have a little bit closer, maps with like walls around you or stuff like that, or impediments, then it's quite easy to clear pretty much entire breach. So you can't really say that the clear is bad, right? Can I? Actually, I think I picked that up. I think I opened that hand, so I'm gonna pick up the loot. One thing about breach, I guess we have a second to talk about farming mechanics. I found breach to be the most satisfying, but you can farm anything you want with this build. You can go literally anything. You can go ritual, because ritual is not a problem. We can, face tank monsters, and unless you're doing like insanely difficult maps, like maps with like 3 damage mods, like monster penetrate resistances plus extra damage or something like that. And even then, I have done maps like these And it's just hard to die as this character. It's really hard to die, and we're gonna get to it later. Why it's so difficult to die. But I think I picked up majority. But yeah, you can do anything you want. This is again tier 17 map. No extra damage mods, but honestly, I wouldn't even focus on the I still wouldn't focus on the gameplay much if it had one extra damage mod this map, because you're just not close to dying. Like, I don't remember last time I had a close call, honestly. I don't remember. I was a couple days ago, probably. Like 2 or 3 days ago, so... the classic Path of Exile early access moment. We'll have to look for the reminding monsters. And let's pray that they're not in this corner, because I'm going to move over there now. And that would be extremely unfortunate if the monsters are over here. And, you know, I could do some editing, I guess, and just, you know, skip that part. But I guess in the meantime, we can talk about something else. So, as you can see, the area of my balls... That didn't sound good, but the area of effect is much bigger compared to last time. And we're gonna get to it. And there is also a very important part that we'll get to when it comes to passive skills. But, you know, this is if you want to put this character to the absolute max, because what I have here is pretty good gear. It's nowhere near, you know, what you could consider best in slot. My weapons could be probably... I could probably get like 50% more damage off of each of my weapons. But it's definitely good. It's not bad. It's like I put like a couple hundred of exalts in this build at this point. And it's PoE. Like, you know PoE. If the people that play PoE 1 know that you can invest into characters pretty much until no tomorrow, and you can keep going and keep going and keep going. It's not much different in PoE 2, because we already have... I checked the unique items on PoE 2 DB, and we already have some chase unique items that are extremely powerful, but they're like, you know, some of them are 500 exalt or so. But, you know, these are pretty much uniques that would make any build stronger. So, something to keep in mind. Okay, there we go. So that's the map. Again, nothing too special. I wasn't focusing much. It's tier 17, so it's harder than a regular tier 15 map for sure. And with breach in it, the only thing that monsters had is like 40% more health, 32% more health, or something like that. But yeah, nothing too special. But there is one more thing I wanted to show you, boys. I recorded that fight yesterday. This was a Xesht fight, and this is second to last highest difficulty Xesht. I'm probably going to be doing today or tomorrow the hardest one, the tier, I don't know what you call it, tier 4. And let's see how this went. So this is pretty much as hard as things in PoE 2 will get, at least for now, until they add more content, right? And I had less health here. I was recording that before massive upgrades that I had today. So I would be stronger, and I also made few mistakes when it comes to the setup, but we're gonna get to it. So here I kind of wanted to see how much I can tank when it comes to fighting, you know, pinnacle content in games like you know, in ARPGs, generally speaking, when nobody knows what the bosses do and how much damage they do. The only way to find out is to just build a tanky character and just try to phase tank them, right? And generally speaking, I could kill this guy faster if I knew how much damage his abilities will do, but I was a little bit scared, right? I didn't want to get one-shot and fail the boss. But as it turns out, there is really one ability that is capable of doing massive amount of damage, and it's this one that you see on the screen right now. You need to go away and, you know, not get hit by too many of these projectiles, because every single one of them does, like, you know, 400 damage. So if you get hit by 10 at the same time, and plus possibly something else, it might be bad time for you. But yeah, there is a big mistake I did during this fight, And on top of that, I could face tank many more of these abilities to make this fight go much faster. But you know, we're gonna learn. We're gonna learn. We're gonna make adjustments, and it's gonna get better. But I think I would say that, you know, assuming that there is only one ability that I have to dodge here, I could finish this fight 2 times faster, and that's not including, again, the gear upgrades I had. So yeah. So we're gonna finish off this guy over here soon. As you noticed, the moment he drops to lower health, the more stuff he throws at you. So once he's low, it's definitely a decent idea to just finish him off. Like at this point here, I just didn't care. I just wanted to finish him off. Fortunately, he didn't drop anything worthwhile, but yeah, that's second to last highest difficulty Xesht. And I'm pretty sure that with the upgrades I had today and more in the future, I can easily just steamroll this boss and possibly many others. I did some other bosses. I did tier 1, so the weakest King of the Mist, and I hit him twice. He transitioned. He had 2 forms, right? I hit him twice. He went into the second form. I hit him 3 times, and he died. So 5 hits for tier 1 King of the Mist. So the build is extremely strong. Let's go over stats. As you can see here, I maxed out my resistances. They're sitting at very, very high amounts. I have a lot of strength, 5600 life, and honestly, on a totally min-max character, I could expect you could reach probably about 7k. 7k is like a realistic number. With 7000 life, like, you really don't care. Like, I don't want to say like don't care what's coming at you, because, you know, it's PoE. Something's gonna probably kill you anyway if you're not careful. But with 7k life, like, I feel almost invincible with 5600 right now. If you wanted to really min-max and boost your resistances to like close to 90% and get like 6.5k life or something, you're just immortal. For the current content in the game, you're just immortal. Unless you're like, you know, you're just there's ability that always one-shots you, you're gonna die. But other than that, you're just immortal pretty much. You don't need a shield. All you need to do is stack life, stack armor, and stack resistances, and you're pretty much, you can't die. You just can't die. So we have 20,000 armor. This number goes up, but we're gonna get to that when I'm gonna talk about passive tree. No evasion, no block. who needs evasion, bro? Who needs to hide behind minions or like avoid hits? Like what? 83 fire resistance. The reason why this is more than enough is because we have this passive over here called heat proofing. This means that 25% of that armor that I have is applied to fire damage taken from hit as well. The only thing that we need to understand here is that this armor is applied to fire damage after it gets reduced by resistance. So if I can confidently say that with this amount of fire resistance and this amount of armor, even more during mapping, you're close to immune to fire damage. You really don't care about fire damage. You really don't. Then cold 84, lightning 85. Again, these can get higher if I'm going to improve my jewels, and possibly there's more stuff, because there's a unique jewel that someone listed yesterday for a mirror, and I've never seen it before, and I wonder what it does. But 71 chaos resistance. If you can, I'm sure you can. You know, if you're gonna have better gear than mine, I have really some pieces of gear that are not that impressive. They're really not that impressive. I could have big upgrades in some of these pieces, but if you can get to 75 chaos resistance, it's fine. I can say with confidence that around 70% is enough, especially if you have this amount of health. 65, you're gonna be fine as well. It's you know, you're gonna be fine. All right, so let's get to skills, because there were some changes since the last time, and this will explain also why I took so long to kill this boss. I mean, this was like, what, minute and a half? But I could kill this boss in like 40 seconds probably. Perfect strike. The only thing that the main difference here is that I started using concentrated effect, something that I you know, missed last time. The less area of effect modifier literally doesn't change anything because it's a single target hit. So if we're gonna take this out, there is like, you know, area is bigger here, but it doesn't matter. You use it to kill single target enemies. So if you're like a little bit closer to them or a little bit farther away from them, it really doesn't matter, realistically speaking. For 40% more damage, this is like a must-have every single time. You just use it and take it, boys. Is all I'm gonna say. This is massive support for damage. Next up, we have Window of Opportunity, just like last time. Just make sure that you get the perfect hit, right? It's called perfect timing. If you do it too early or too late, there's like a visual indicator that, you know, there isn't like this you know, AOE of fire that, you know, that indicates that you did it properly. And when it doesn't happen, this ability doesn't do damage if you don't do a perfect strike. But if you do a perfect strike, it does insane damage. So that's the trade-off. And at this point, you're looking pretty much for more damage modifiers. Fire Infusion, more damage. Primal Armament, more damage. And Close Combat, more damage to close targets, which, you know, we're close to our enemies when we're using this skill every time. So all you need here is more damage. Is a single target ability. That's it. Molten Blast next. More attack speed for, you know, it's one of the best supports for a skill like this, but also feels better while mapping. Then Scatter Shot for more projectiles. More AoE for clear, amazing. Elemental Focus because we don't care about inflicting Ignite on this ability. Last support, honestly, I was going through supports and it's hard to say. I saw some good supports, like for example, I'm gonna show you. I saw some good supports, like for example, this support is looking very nice, long shot. Majority of enemies that you're gonna kill with this ability, you're gonna kill from afar. Some of them before you can even see them on the screen, which means that in those cases this would be 35% more attack damage, which is amazing if you're looking to boost this ability even further. Other thing you could do is, for example, like during mapping, you really truly don't need to have a 6-link here because you literally kill bosses in 2 or 3 hits. Like tier 17, if this map that I showcased had a boss, it would die in 2 or 3 hits, max. Probably in 2. There are bosses in the past that where I had maps with no life modifiers that I just killed in 1 hit with perfect strike. I just did like 1.5 million, close to 2 million damage, and it died in a single hit. So what you could do is just drop this more weapon elemental damage and put it in here, literally. Up to you. These supports are, you know, I think that when I'm going to get to 6-link, I'm most definitely going to be using long shot because it's just good. But I don't know, more projectile speed to make it feel a little bit better. But it, you know, it already feels great. But you could do that. You could, for example, do. I tested other supports. Chain, unfortunately, you know, there's no way that it can work. But technically, it could bounce off of the ground. But yeah, chain doesn't work. Pierce does work, but it's very awkward because these balls will pierce through the enemies, and you want the balls to explode as fast as possible. So that didn't sound good. Anyway, this is not going to work that great. Ricochet also doesn't work. Fork doesn't work. None of these really work. These are unfortunately for spells. If this was also for attacks, I would be using that all the time. All the time, every single time I'll be using this, and that would be amazing. I don't know if it'll feel that good, but it would be like probably the most fun skill in the game, not gonna lie. Like every now and then to throw this amount of projectiles on the skill would be, I don't know. I would love to play with that, but unfortunately we can't. So yeah, that's it when it comes to Molten Blast, Infernal Cry, just like last time. Enraged Warcry, Premeditation, Ingenuity, and Raging Cry. I can't think of anything better, but if you find something, let me know. Now the difference from the last time is I dropped Herald of Ash. I had Herald of Ash last time, I think, right? No, last time I had Time of Need. which I just dropped. You can use Time of Need against bosses if you want, but I think that Overwhelming Presence feels pretty good because you just whatever you touch during mapping, you stun. So it feels even better to it's like a defensive multiplier, right? It's like a very good defensive multiplier, and you will with this you can actually stun. You do so much damage that you can also stun. You can also stun bosses as well, like pinnacle bosses, unironically. So this feels great. Berserk just like last time, and also when it comes to supports, we have Vitality here and Cannibalism here. Always use that, boys. Take it and use it because this skill is absolutely insane, right? Okay. Sorry for that. I forgot the D&D before I started recording. But that was a big trade, so you know, if this guy bought it instantly, I would sell it for him. But you know, whatever. Leap Slam next. Consecrated Ground. The only thing I changed is that Consecrated Ground was here, Holy Descent, but also I put here increased duration, which does work with it. So when you fight, for example, you fight a pinnacle boss, right? Or you fight a boss and you run out of flask charges. You can always Leap Slam, and this will give you Consecrating Ground for 5% regen per second and curse reduction, and it will last for 6 seconds instead of 4. So I mean, you won't have to Leap Slam as often. So that's pretty nice. And here we have stun build up. It's really hard to find any other supports for Leap Slam that will be useful for this build, but I just put whatever in there. And then the main difference between what would make Xesht fight much faster is this combo. Shockwave Totem, it doesn't really matter what totem you put in there. I decided to put Shockwave. And here I have like Iron Wood, so that lives for like 2 seconds longer, whatever, it doesn't matter. Totem placement speed for quality of life, and this. Font of Rage. This makes it so that when you're near your totem, you generate rage passively. So what does it mean basically is that you put this totem before the Xesht fight, and then you get all of your damage multiplier, all your boost on everything. Boom, and you start the fight and you hit Xesht for 2 million, and then you hit Xesht for 2 million, and all of a sudden he's already 1/3 HP down. And that's a pretty big deal because Rage is absolutely, especially if you use this, if you use Berserk, Rage is an absolutely massive damage multiplier. The difference between having this amount of Rage and not having it is 50% more damage. 50% more. And that's not all because, as I said before, Infernal Cry gives you massive damage multipliers as long as you have Rage. This is 30% more damage for 2 attacks if you consume Rage. So it's 30% more damage into 50% more damage. Is like literally double damage if you have Rage compared to not having Rage. And this is something that will speed up the boss fights tremendously because I didn't know that support like that exists. I was checking out supports, every single support in the game. I was checking them out, and I figured out why not just use Totem, and you're standing before the boss fight. He does his like, oh, we are the one. He does his freaking speech, whatever. Drop the Totem, generate your Rage, and freaking one shot is blow his face off. And that's all you gotta do. That's just amazing. It gets even better because you can invest into these Rage nodes if you want, and instead of 30 Rage, you can have 47 Rage with these 4 nodes, and have even more damage multiplier. Which, by the way, this is something I will probably do, but we're gonna get to it when we get to Passive Tree, which is going to be right now. Passive Tree saw some significant changes, and there is a reason for that. So where would I even begin? So when it comes to Passive Tree, this is a level 92, almost 93 character. I'm expecting that almost nobody that watches this video, at least this early, will get to this level, right? Because it's pretty high. It's like I'm in the ladder, I'm like top 500 or something. So what you can do is you can totally use the previous Passive Tree from the previous video, and it's going to work just fine. But I'm going to go over here and explain why this tree looks the way it does right now. Alright, so first of all, here we want to get these nodes just like before, and the strength nodes, like travel nodes. Get this armor. Later on, I'm probably going to get this too, because, you know, more armor is, you know, we want to be as tanky as possible. Get the beef and the strength nodes. Get heat proofing just like before, amazing node. Get all that stuff. And last time I was going this way and I was taking this fire penetration here. The reason why you're going to notice I have like AoE nodes. This is why our balls are so massive, by the way. I had in this area here that I can easily respec. I have area nodes, area cluster over here. There is another area cluster that can drop. There is another area cluster here that can drop. There is a reason for that, and the reason being, in the future, I want to use. This is going to be my setup on weapon swap 1 for clear, and then weapon swap 2. Boom, we're gonna have 2 different weapons that are going to be also better for oh no, I don't have okay, hold on. I don't have strength enough strength right now to swap back, so we're gonna get some strength real fast. Hold on. Oopsies. We're gonna get that later too, so it's fine. Boom. So what I will want to do in the future is this setup will be used for clear, and I'm going to be using Molten Blast with it. And then the second setup, boom, we're going to use different weapons that will be even better for Perfect Strike. They will have... Why can I swap back? Okay, there we go. We'll use different weapons that will have a modifier, also known as plus melee skills, preferably as much as possible, and this weapon will do, this skill will do devastating amount of damage. Because what we're gonna do is, again, for clear speed, for the weapon swap, I'm going to get rid of all these area nodes, all of these area nodes, all of these area nodes, and we're going to invest all of that into single target. We're gonna invest this into this, which is an amazing node. We're going to invest it into probably rage. We're gonna invest it into more attack damage, or more tankiness, more armor, which probably doesn't make sense. Just, you know, they're going to be a different damage nodes. Instead of area, we'll be investing into single target. And this skill will hit devastatingly hard. Absolutely devastatingly hard. But for that, obviously, like, I don't have currency yet to buy another set of 2 weapons. So what you can do, you can 100% just do all the bosses in the game, most likely, with just having 2 weapons and not worrying about that too much. What you can also do, as you can see, I have 7 million gold at this point. What you can do if you start, if you want to fight pinnacle bosses, you can just respec all these nodes. It's not going to cost much if if you farm for, like, as long as I have been, and you can respec all the area nodes and get the single target damage nodes, and just after that, just respec back, and it's not a big problem, right? I mean, until you get 2 weapons, you can totally do that, and it's gonna be totally fine, right? So something you can do. 2 sets of weapons, excuse me. But what I've been doing so far is I've been clearing I've been clearing everything with just AoE, and I don't care. I really don't care, because the build is just so strong. And what I did also, what I recommend, is getting yourself a jewel like this. And there are different things. You can get a jewel like this, increase maximum life with maximum cold resistance. You can get a jewel like this, the guy that wanted to buy it before, maximum lightning resistance and increased strength per notable. This will give you, in this area, will give you 20% strength, which completely will solve all your strength problems. You can do stuff like that. This will give you massive amount of health. The other thing you can do is you can do something like that. This jewel is, by the way, I'm probably gonna drop it because it's not that great. I definitely want to get something better, but this gives you your small passives penetrate 2% of fire resistance, and guess what? This works. This works with hulking form. So this 2% from this becomes 3%. So every single one of those, those nodes, gets increased by 75% compared to the base value, and they get 3% fire penetration. So as you can see, I have small nodes here that increase my damage by 24%. and they penetrate 3% fire resistance, which is ridiculous because this is as much, this is more damage. This small note is more damage than this notable, for example, right? So with hulking form, it's getting pretty ridiculous, and you can experiment. I don't know every single jewel in the game yet because, you know, the new jewels, people keep on doing new content, and more stuff gets released. But this is really cool. Another thing you could do, and I was thinking about it for the longest time, is you can do Grand Spectrum. 3 Grand Spectrums, if you put 3 of them, it will give you 18% increased maximum life, which for me would be... Like, if 2% gives me 80 life, then 80% would give me, like, 700 life, right? So this would put me at 6,500 life if I wanted to do that. But instead, I decided to do something cheaper and get jewels with maximum resistances. That will work perfectly fine. With this amount of resistance, this amount of health, and this amount of armor, you will feel 100% safe, and you will not die to anything in maps unless you're just, I don't know, like... You walk into a triple damage mod map with, and you just don't care. You can even do triple damage mod maps with this build. The beauty about this build is that you're melee and range at the same time. You can keep monsters at bay. You can have a strategy if you want. I've been doing some crazy hard maps, but I was just playing safe, and I could do them because this ability does a lot of damage. These projectiles shotgun, so they don't get hit by just one. Like a big rare or big boss will not get hit by just one projectile. They will get hit by 6. So that's absolutely beautiful thing about this build. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, I try to hyper optimize the build, the passives, and build around these jewels because this jewel is insane. And I bet that you can get better ones. Imagine getting something like increased maximum life with 4% strength, for example. That'll be just mind-blowingly good. But yeah, small jewels for max resistances, or you can invest into Grand Spectrums. You can invest into different Grand Spectrums. For example, you can mix and match. There is a Grand Spectrum that gives you 4% increased elemental resistances per Grand Spectrum. So you can put two of increased life and 1 for resistances. You can get 12% all res, right? You can do different stuff. You can do spirit. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, yeah. There is going to be one more. Oh, excuse me. We have items as well. So items, I'm not going to talk about the items that I will buy for my swap. We're gonna get to that. I'm going to make probably 1 more or 2 maybe more videos when it comes to this build, and then, you know, I have something else in plans, but we're gonna get to that when the time comes. When it comes to weapons, you want to have as much physical damage as possible, and then you want to have increased, which is absolutely crucial, by the way. Physical damage is not as important as increased elemental damage with attacks is. If you have on your weapon 100 and plus increased elemental damage with attacks, even if it's only a 500 DPS weapon, it will hit like a truck, because you get this stat on both weapons. So that is essentially 200% increased damage. So this is like if you had 8 of these notables. And it gets better because people sell items, like they primarily look at DPS, right? And they don't look at the stat like elemental damage with attacks. So these, generally speaking, will be cheaper than pure physical damage weapons, and they will be stronger than them. And on top of that, you can get stuff like, you know, you can get suffixes. Attack speed is, you know, good for clear. I attack a little bit faster with my Molten Strike, Molten Blast. But you can do this. You can get attack speed. You can get strength. Another good stat is stun buildup, because if you get more stun buildup, you will literally just perma-stun enemies. I mean, not perma-stun them, but you will stun them immediately. Something gets hit, a rare appears, a dangerous rare appears in your screen. It gets hit once and it's stunned. And that's all it takes to kill it and make it completely useless. So these are the weapons. Rings are very simple. Cap your resistances with rings. Get as much resistance as possible, and then try to get as much life and strength as possible. That's it. You don't need any other stats here. You don't need accuracy, because we use Resolute Technique. You don't need accuracy, you don't need evasion, you don't need flat damage, because we have so much flat damage here. This flat damage is irrelevant. Resistances, life, strength, in that order. That's it. Amulet, you could definitely get something better, but I bought this one because I was kind of low on budget, and it really, for its cost, it's a really decent amulet. When I bought it 3 days ago or 2 days ago or something like that, it cost me 28 exalts, and that's a perfect roll. 28 exalts. Right now, it's probably way cheaper than that. It's decent. It gives you a lot of life, a little bit of resistance, and fire exposure. This fire exposure is relevant because the quality on Molten Blast gives you 30% chance to inflict fire exposure on hit. So you don't really care about that stat that much, outside of boss fights, I guess. You can definitely get something much, much, much stronger when it comes to rare items. And maybe even there is like a unique amulet that is broken or something. I don't know. I haven't checked them all, but I can tell you that when it comes to rare amulets, you can get something ridiculous. Rare amulets have very powerful stats. I could totally see something like plus 150 life with 9% increased life with 30% life recoup, which is insane against bosses because you don't even need to use flasks that much if you have that stat. And plus 2 to melee skills or something. That would be insane, and that will just blow this amulet out of water. But you know, definitely a very nice option as a budget. If you want to use that, you absolutely can. And then when it comes to armor and helmet, gloves, boots, and belt, they're all very similar. Every stat that you look at, every stat that you look for is capping your resistances, getting as much armor and life as possible. That's literally it. The only difference is that when it comes to boots, you want movement speed, and then when it comes to attack speed, and when it comes to gloves, you probably want attack speed because that's a lot. That's a lot of attack speed for a single suffix. Like especially looking at how scarce the attack speed is in warrior area, I wouldn't give up this attack speed. Like I really wouldn't on these gloves. Of course, you can get resistances instead if you think that your attack speed is fine and the build feels fine to play. You can skip it, but in my opinion, feels good. And yeah, that's it when it comes to itemization. As I said before, I'm going to most definitely make another update, and this is going to be update like end game, when I'm going to gather clips from me killing, like, you know, the highest difficulty tier end game bosses with this build, and yeah. But I want to get some more upgrades. I really want to see, you know, generally speaking, I'm not a player that likes to jump from build to build all the time. When I make a build, I like to play it for like, you know, solid few weeks to like really get, you know, good feel of it. And like, you know, it's annoying to constantly come up with new builds, especially when you have a lot of fun playing one build. There's no reason to just, you know, jump into the other. So you can expect one or more two videos from when it comes to this character. Please let me know down in the comments what you think. If you have any questions, I'm going to answer them all. You know, we don't get million views so that I have to go through 10,000 comments and you know, answer every single one. Thankfully, you know, that's the benefit of a small community. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.